r/ask Reddit. In what small, meaningless ways do you rebel? I work at a restaurant. If customers are loud and or obnoxious, I draw ketchup dongs on their burgers, or whisper duck you to their pancakes as I flip them. Made with gentle hatred. Sending out duck you flapjacks and bloody dong burgers. Brutal, man. Brutal. This morning I drove up onto a red light, looked left, looked right, looked ahead, with no cars, no street cameras and nobody watching as far as the eye could see. It was then and there I decided that I would finally be the rebel I always wanted to be. Then the light turned green. The mindset is what counts, I believe. https imgur comi a8xvhx jpg. I'm impressed. I'm impressed that he was able to get that into a baseball game in Disneyland. I always ask for a small, or medium or large, when I'm in Starbucks. Can I get a large black coffee? Do you mean a venti? No, I mean a large. Venti is large. No, venti is 20. Large is large. In fact, tall is large and grand is Spanish for large. Venti is the only one that doesn't mean large. It's also the only one that's Italian. Congratulations. You're stupid in 3 languages. Edit. Relax guys. My comment was a reference to the movie Role Models. Yep, Role Models. It's called venti because it's 20 ounces. Venti, 20. Edit. It's a line from Role Models. And yes, I'm aware the iced venti is more than 20 ounces. Edit 2. IDKY the iced venti is more than 20 ounces. Probably the ice. I don't work at Starbucks. I'm a defense attorney and when I write motions and appeals in federal court I don't capitalize the G in government when referring to it as a party. It's pretty badass. As a law student you may be my hero. Jesus, law students really have to take every opportunity they get to mention they're studying law. Source, am law student. I engage cruise control 2 miles per hour over the speed limit. I only tire half Windsor. I quote communist rhetoric to babies and toddlers hoping one of them will absorb it and one day start a revolution. One of these things is not like the others. Half Windsor? Barbarian. When Google search predicts what I'm going to type, I finish typing it myself. Get over yourself. You don't ducking know me. I also correct spelling mistakes before I hit enter because I hate that sanctimonious did you mean. When Microsoft Word auto-corrects me, I press backspace and retype it because I fix my own mistakes. My work truck is infested with bed bugs. My boss refuses to treat it because he thinks that it's coming from the patients I transport. So, whenever I find a bed bug, I save it live in a jar and release it into his office. When his office is infested, he'll do something about it. Beautiful. Complained Tosha? I don't safely remove my USB device. Jesus Christ. As long as it's not actively transferring data and use Win 7 or higher, you're okay. More for USB 1 where it was slower, and people were pulling it out before the transfer was finished. When I was a kid I said a cuss word once, and my parents made me go to my room. They came in and gave me a bar of soap and told me that I had 10 minutes to lick the soap, and if they came back and I still hadn't licked it then I would be in more trouble. Out of spite I ate the entire bar of soap, and safe to say ever since I've been allowed to say whatever the duck I want. What do you mean he ate the entire bar of soap? I don't know. Frank. He just devoured the whole thing like candy. Well, Carol, we have a pretty ducked up son who has a good chance of becoming a serial killer. Best to just let him do whatever the duck he wants. Edit. My first gold. Can I eat it? Ducking metal mate. I follow the traffic rules. Wait at red lights. Use indicators for switching lanes. Follow lanes. And refrain from honking. I live in India. You can't be real. I used tips to clean my ears. I love that we aren't supposed to do that. But I have no idea what else tips would be used for. I used tips for cleaning ears and cleaning guns. That's it. I tend to vote third party in presidential elections. Relevant. From the Hitchhiker's Guide, on its world, the people are people, the leaders are lizards. The people hate the lizards and the lizards rule the people. Odd, said Arthur. I thought you said it was a democracy. I did, said Ford. It is. So, said Arthur, hoping he wasn't sounding ridiculously obtuse, why don't people get rid of the lizards? It honestly doesn't occur to them. Said Ford, they've all got the vote, so they all pretty much assume that the government they voted in more or less approximates to the government they want. You mean they actually vote for the lizards? Oh yes, said Ford with a shrug. Of course. But, said Arthur, going for the big one again. Why? Because if they didn't vote for a lizard, said Ford, the wrong lizard might get in. Got any gin? Don't blame me, I voted for Codus. I'm a Londoner, born and bred. I smile at people in the street and occasionally engage total strangers in conversation. It's about as subversive as you can get in the capital without being arrested by police under the Terrorism Act 2000. Please tell me you don't make eye contact while on the tube. Are you kidding? There are some rules you never break. Eye contact on the tube will get you sectioned if done on the northern or central lines between the hours of 5:30 and 2200 hours. I never click the sponsored search result on Google. Always scroll down to the second link, taking me to the same place in double the time. Sponsored links cost the company money per click. Open bracket. Usually paid in advance. So clicking on annoying links is actually rebelling. I always make sure to click it because it costs them money. Each month when I pay the Cox cable bill, I write Cox instead of Cox on the check. It has never been returned and I've been doing it for 10 years. You still pay by check? For that one, I do. For the simple joy of writing Cox on a check and sending it to them. That, and my bank's online bill pay won't let me do it. I just lather and rinse. Repeating is a plot by Big Shampoo to sell more product. Wait, are there people who actually shampoo twice? Twice? It doesn't say stop. I don't use FB or Twitter. I also created my grandmother FB account and befriended my brother so he has to be careful with what he posts now. You are the worst kind of person. Or the best. Keeps his brother from posting something really stupid and possibly ruining his chances with a job or something. Some coven of old ladies is on a committee at my work that decides random things for the building and they decided to ban yoga pants. It's warehouse work and a lot of my female co-workers were understandably upset as trying to bend in any direction while wearing jeans can be difficult. So I 30 130 pounds male have been wearing my girlfriend's yoga pants and leggings to work every day for a week now. We had an acting manager attempt to make it a rule that people couldn't hug each other at work. He felt it was unprofessional. This resulted in everyone hugging everyone for everything as a form of greeting. Farewell, good job, let's have a coffee, etc. Turns out he was the only one that no one ever wanted to hug. Luckily, a real manager put a stop to his arbitrary rule. Our workplace has become a very hug-friendly environment now. Clients always comment on how close everyone is. Steve, if you're reading this, maybe people would want to hug you if you weren't so hell-bent on making our work life as awful as possible. That and you might want to tone down your sexism and racism. And stop bragging about your membership in a bigoted hate group. You're not a good person. Steve. Edit. Steve claims to be KKK. Apparently he shows the card off to some people. Steve also is no longer an acting manager. Management decided that the number of complaints he received from employees were outnumbering any managerial benefits he was providing. Steve once attempted to file a grievance against management because no one wanted to work with him. Did Steve tell you that? Perchance? MMMPH. Steve. Sneak movie and TV references into academic papers. I always throw in references to the 1995 movie Hackers. It usually comes out as something along the lines of, for example, avoiding the most commonly used passwords helps security. Some of the most commonly used passwords include password and hack the planet. You forgot God and love. Oddly enough, using God as your password would have been unbreakable by that movie's standards. When I was in high school, whenever I asked the teacher can I go to the bathroom, and they answered with I don't know, can you? I just left the room and went. Yes, leaves. I do print design, and sometimes when my boss asks me to move something just a little bit to the left and I feel like they're making changes just for the sake of making changes, I don't move it at all. They always accept these changes. Edit. Thanks for the responses. Yes, I have seen the Michelangelo and the Duck articles now. 3. Edit. Hey, thanks for the gold. And on another note, there is so much gold in this thread. I had a boss that just had to find something to correct or he else felt like he wasn't doing his job. So when I'd get a project down to pretty much done, I'd intentionally leave in a minor spelling error so that he'd feel better about himself and I wouldn't have to even look at his bullshit changes. Man, that's risky. Hopefully he wasn't the type to think this idiot is constantly making spelling errors. I'm a large muscular brown man. When I see some a-hole taking up way too much room on the subway, I sit down right next to them. Right next to them. Surprise, mother ducker. Touch thighs, mother ducker. I set my alarm 10 minutes early so I can't hit snooze. You disgust me. I disgust myself. I'm subscribed to both First World Anarchist and First World Conformist. Which makes you a First World Anarchist. Or maybe he's just a conformist by conforming to both communities' standards. Remove to protect my identity. TLDR, managers. Don't duck over your strong performers in an effort to save money in the short term because their decreasing productivity and work quality is way more expensive in the long run. You are my hero. I smuggle my own snacks into the movies. It's more difficult to hide in the summer. There's nothing quite like the feel of Swedish fish in your a-hole. Edit. My first gilding and it happened twice. Thank you all so much. Used to work at a movie theater. We know. And as long as you make a little bit of an effort, we really don't give a shit. That being said though, there was this one time a family came in with a full ducking Popeye's family meal. Just carrying it out in the open. I would have let them in just because it was so ballsy, but my supervisor showed up so they had to eat it and come back. Probably a good idea he stopped it. Next time, they probably would have brought their grill and a fondue set. My company's dress code is very strict, but does not contain anything about the condition of clothes. Wrinkly, ironed. I haven't ironed in years, and I still keep getting promoted despite it being mentioned on every PR. A director at our company sent out a passive-aggressive dress code email requiring leather shoes, i.e., no trainers, sneakers. I had been wearing a comfortable soft pair of shoes, and I think it was directed at me. I switched to cowboy boots. My mom's office has a no tennis shoes policy, so my mom asked what constitutes tennis shoes and the answer was shoes that tie. My mom bought some Velcro tennis shoes and has been wearing them ever since. Make a dumb rule. Get anarchists. I sometimes have to buy a return tram ticket. After returning to my original destination, I put the tram ticket next to the ticket machine so that someone can use it rather than have to buy their own. Viva la resistance. Edit. Holy crap on a cracker, did this blow up? Glad to hear there are so many people who do the same thing. It's the small things that matter. Hi fellow heroes. Smurfs assemble. I bet you're the sort of guy who gives people your parking permit with time still left on it so they don't have to buy their own, aren't you? How dare you? If I see a post at 665 or 667, I will automatically up-down vote it to 666. The post itself does not matter. You beast. The other day I put Sprite in my cup that was only supposed to have water in it. It was my first time ever doing that. How do you live with yourself? They live out of Sprite. I signed up for Club Penguin without my parents' explicit permission. My parents took away my computer privileges for a year because I told MySpace I was 16 so I could get an account with them. I was 14. Is your mom called Susan? I refuse to use shorthand and emojis in text messages. I would like to subscribe to your perfectly spelled newsletter. That stuff is useful because it conveys a casual tone, which is otherwise hard to do through text. I call babies a-holes behind their backs. Edit. THX for the gold. I do believe you could say it to their face, and they would be none the wiser. Indeed, and I have. But the parents are usually there. In high school I wore clear nail polish and hid necklaces underneath my shirt. I was cool. Duck the system. Gently. Well, I'm on Reddit at work. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.